Scientific research generates a great deal of knowledge which has traditionally been made public through publication in journals, conference presentations and press releases to the media. Publication in scientific journals and presentations at academic conferences delivers information that is then accessible and available to other scholars as well as industry researchers. Whereas traditional press releases can reach a wider public through print media, radio or television. Social media and a range of different influencers now increasingly provide additional means to disseminate knowledge generated from scientific research. However, across both traditional and social media pathways, the key question to always ask relates to the effectiveness of dissemination, not least because we live in a world literally drenched by a continuous torrent of information. The print and broadcast media are always looking for good news stories of innovation and technology, often to end programmes on a positive note. And as such, a prepared media release is seen as potentially an easy option in order to promote the outputs of research, individual experts or institutions. After all, such releases can lead to coverage in local newspapers, in radio or television, and in the UK even a brief film or interview with, for example, the BBC is considered a pinnacle of achievement for media coverage. It must all surely have some impact. Sensational, headline-grabbing news can, without doubt, have impact, but potentially this will be short-lived. Sustained impact is much more difficult to achieve. The advertising industry knows this all too well. Globally, around $120 billion annually is spent by business on advertising to get across their key messages to change consumer behaviour and influence decision-making in the purchase of their products and services. It's important to understand this because it places in context the impact of a one-off media event concerning new research and scientific developments or the availability of a new technology. While potentially reaching a very large audience and raising general awareness, which may seem to be a positive result, many people will have no interest in the message, or it will just be of little relevance to them. As a standalone, such simplistic approaches will have only fleeting and limited impact, and while they may be used to enhance the standing of an individual or an institution in the eyes of the public, this is not necessarily a good return on investment from publicly funded research. The idea of fulfilling a research obligation to public funders simply through dissemination of knowledge as a press release informing an unknown audience of an unknown size is surely inadequate. It all has to come down to reach, significance and impact, and does such knowledge and the way it's delivered change perspectives or attitudes, approaches, decision-making or behaviours? Considering dissemination of knowledge in innovation terms, in particular that knowledge generated by practitioner researchers, should be all associated with a dissemination strategy that includes the translation of research into products, services and processes. A knowledge dissemination strategy should involve an understanding of target audiences, their character and size and the reason they're being targeted, the choice of pathway, whether that's print, broadcast or social media, and the specific media outlets such as specialist magazine articles or social media groups. It should all maximise the opportunity to reach the targeted audience. The messaging needs to be appropriate and the frequency of delivery optimised such that recall, behaviour and decision making is significantly impacted. And metrics need to be defined and data collected to determine the actual scale of impact. Secondly, the scale and value of impact from dissemination of knowledge has to be considered in terms of the development of products, whether they are manuals, guides, websites, or as services, providing training, online chats, podcasts, and YouTube videos. And this is where the dissemination of knowledge can differ from the delivery of knowledge as innovation, which can be that same knowledge translated and embedded within longer lasting, more tangible products and services having greater and more sustained impact. Ultimately, the aim has to be to ensure that the knowledge generated by scientific research reaches the people who can most gain value from it, presented in a way that is most relevant to their needs.